Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thank you, Adam. I'm great. And you?
I'm doing very well. I do. You guys are. We actually talked to Pat Forty the other day. I had to bribe him by talking swimming for a second, but we did that. So we got a little USA swimming in as well. Can we start with Mike Gundy first? Because that to me was like, I don't know why we haven't heard more pushback on the way Gundy tried to. He said he wasn't trying to justify it. The way he justified his player's DUI.
Yeah, it was one of the dumbest comments I've ever heard a college coach make, and that is a competitive category. What really was strange, and this is just Mike Gundy, because I think he just has so much power and so many yes men around him, like everything he says, everyone just sort of nods. And it is something that happens to college coaches. They lose perspective. This was not like he got ambushed with a question. He showed up at media day, and his best player just like a week ago was arrested for DUI, and he said, I'm not going to suspend him.
Right.
You know you're going to get asked. Like, this is as sure as they're going to ask you how your team is looking, they're going to ask about this. And to walk in without a very easy – this is not the first player to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches have just come with a prepared couple lines, move on. I really don't think most of the country cares that much. I'm not minimizing it.
Right.
But Ollie Gordon gets in trouble. Like, it wasn't like it was this big now everybody knows Ollie Gordon got arrested, right?
Right.
How many people really knew before that?
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this like headline that kind of pops by and you forget. And so this is the situation, and he comes in and he's trying to make the case that he shouldn't be responsible anymore, the way kind of pro coaches are no longer, like you don't.
Right.
You know, if an LA Ram gets a DUI tonight, no one goes, what does Sean McVay think?
Right.
Okay, but doing that, he's basically like, you know, you have 2 beers, 3 beers, 4. I've done it 1,000 times.
I know.
Got lucky. It was unbelievable. So unserious, flippant. Even if he somehow, I mean, I don't think Mike Gundy's like, I don't really care about DUIs. I don't think anybody is like that. But even if for some reason you really weren't that into it, why the heck would you verbalize that as a coach? You're supposed to protect your brand of your program.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do this? This is just completely self-inflicted wound to where everybody in the country is talking about this unbelievable answer where a guy's just like, I've had 4 beers, 1,000 times in my life. Holy cow, why would you ever say that? I just don't know.
I was stunned. Dan Wetzel is joining us. I'm like, he's just admitted to being a serial drunk driver who gets lucky. The other thing is, when I check my phone, look, we all know what the legal limit is, 0.08. I mean, it's pretty universal, right? Like, I don't have to check my phone. By the way, when he checked his phone, did he look up legal drinking age? That would be another thing for Mike Gundy to look up. But yeah, to me, that was the most egregious thing I heard.
And can we get a DUI checkpoint outside the Gundy residence? I mean, if I'm Stillwater police,
that would.
I don't know what he was thinking. Like, again, I think he was trying to make another point. I'm not going to say Mike Gundy doesn't care because it's absurd.
Right.
Everybody is against this because the rest of us got to drive. Right. Also, I mean, it's pretty much simple.
No question.
Nobody wants any drunk drivers on the road, but it's crazy. But his whole point of like, well, Ollie Gordon's making money now, so why should I do anything? Why should I suspend him? Why should anyone even ask me about this? I think is ridiculous. I mean, you still have to, you still are bringing people to a campus. You still have to have some kind of culture in your organization. I thought that whole concept of like, hey, don't blame me, I just work here, is absurd for someone making $7 million a year to coach a college football team.
And by the way, I mean, even NFL coaches have a level of responsibility for team discipline, and if players run afoul of the law, you are going to be asked about it and expected to have some level of discipline involved. And it doesn't bother me, by the way, that Ollie Collins isn't suspended. That's fine. Gordon. I'm making up players. I think Ollie Collins should be suspended. Ollie Gordon.
That's usually how it works in college. It's like so the walk-on gets a 3-game suspension. But Adam, in the NFL, it's a 3-game suspension if you're convicted. Now he hasn't been convicted yet; it hasn't been adjudicated.
Right.
Fine, but it's a 3-game suspension. It's collectively bargained, so it's not like the NFL is like, we don't care.
Right. That's true. They do care, and they don't even need a conviction. The commissioner or a team can suspend even without, which is fine.
Also can be done. Yes.
All right. Let me get to Brett Yormark here, who I find very entertaining, although kind of bombastic. Maybe not kind of, very bombastic. He declared that his conference was the third best in America. It's certainly a debatable point. I think he probably loses on a lot of points, but that's fine. We sit here and we talk about, when we get to ACC kickoff, Jim Phillips will talk about how great the ACC is in so many ways, and it's fine. Everybody's trying to talk up their league. But he also went on to say that we're open for business, basically blatantly courting Florida State and Clemson to join the league. I know you guys addressed it on the podcast, and it was a fascinating part of the discussion, because I also can't figure out why Florida State and Clemson would be interested in that league.
I don't know. Obviously Florida State and Clemson are actively trying to get out of the league, or at least actively having their options open. I would think you're better off staying where you're at. Unless there is a considerable amount of more money. I mean, look, I understand why everyone wants to go to the Big Ten. I understand why they want to go to the SEC. Take that off the table. I'm not convinced that this is a better situation for you. There's no indication there'd be considerably more money. So you're kind of joining the Big 12, which is an expansive league, goes all the way to Arizona. I mean, as much as the ACC goes everywhere now. Also,
right.
They seem like a wash to me. It's like maybe it's a little better, maybe it isn't. But is it worth uprooting everything? Is the damage so done? I look at the more likely scenario. Look, once Florida State and Clemson invariably are free agents, and at some point that's going to happen, whether it's 2036 or sooner. Do they want to stay or do they want to go? Right now, there's not any indication that the SEC and Big Ten are jumping to grab them. But when you're free, all of a sudden maybe that it goes. But until that point, I just don't see the Big 12 or the ACC being a better spot for either of the. If you're in one of those leagues, I would just stay in one of those leagues. I just think geographically, traditions, the rivalries, where your alumni live, all of those types of things, it's working football-wise for Clemson and Florida State so far. The only thing they're seeking is money, but the two schools have been able to, in the ACC, put together, obviously Clemson's won national championships and finals and all that, and Florida State last year's a terrible injury away from the playoffs and has really got it going. It's working. What is so much better that you would say, I'm going to get out of this and go for that?
Dan Wetzel, national columnist, Yahoo Sports, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, so with Florida State and Clemson actively trying to legally leave the league, we're coming down to a deadline. We are, today is the 11th of July. We are a month and 4 days, I believe, from a deadline where Florida State will have to say, yep, we're out as of 2025. I know they've called a Board of Trustees meeting. Do you anticipate that they will announce in August that they are going to leave the league?
And then they'd be sued to stay?
I mean, I don't know how that they could. I mean, right now the grant of rights says that you can go. Nobody's saying you can't leave the league, but you just can't
broadcast your games. Yeah,
exactly. The ACC would just get control of all of Florida State's media money. My feeling is that if that was a legal maneuver that anybody could make, it would have been made already.
Right. I would agree with that. I don't know what they're going to do because there's a lot of push to be extremely aggressive out. So it wouldn't stun me if they make that move. I'm just not sure what that goes with. And then there's the bit, are you better off? I mean, look, they tried to get a group together that would kind of reform the ACC.
Right. The Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven. Is there a point where you add whatever number you need to do that, and do you reform that way? Does that get you a bigger slice of the pie? Or are you better off doing, other ways that they have to make money? They're talking about private equity, private capital, more things like, selling logos on fields, selling logos on jerseys. Is there other ways to kind of bridge that gap a little bit? I know this is pretty much a non-starter, but I talk sometimes on the podcast, like, is there government money to prop up some of these schools because of the importance for the tourism industry and
right.
all the revenue, like in upstate South Carolina? How much is Clemson football worth to be relevant on a national scale? States and cities routinely give hundreds, if not, I think they're giving $1 billion to the Buffalo Bills in New York, right? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to build stadiums. Would there be a way to bridge that gap? Because there's so much. I know in North Carolina they've talked about how important college sports tourism and how the industry is, right? I think they had a bill to try to make all the teams play each other and things like that. But I mean, that's a real thing. So there are other options than just saying I have to get to this league or that league. Right now, there just isn't any indication from the SEC or the Big Ten that they're looking to expand. Again, now if all of a sudden these guys are free agents, they make a preemptive move to get each other. I don't know, but the Big Ten, when you talk to everybody, and I'm not talking about the conference offices, but on campus people, it's just like they're trying to sort through going to 18. They're not really sitting there going, boy, I wish we'd get to 20. The Big Ten has enough money. They don't need more money. They need to figure out how this is going to work. And if we're talking seriously, the SEC and the Big Ten, if they have a draft of what schools each league wants, North Carolina is the number one choice, not Clemson or Florida State.
I absolutely agree. Dan Wetzel, before we let you go, I know you go to events, Super Bowls, things like that. The Totino's Big 12 Media Days didn't draw you. Would the Busch Light ACC Media Days, would that draw you?
I mean, if they got some ice cold Busch Lights in the media room, yeah. I I mean, it certainly would increase the likelihood.
I love the fact that they did that, though.
I sponsor it?
Yeah, we should sponsor everything. Well, I don't know.
Does anybody, or like you sitting at your grocery store because you're such a Big 12 fan, you're like, I think I'll get some Totino's pizza. What is it?
The pizza rolls, they're lethal, by the way.
They are good. We've all had them. They're all good. They're good. But like, do you sit there and go, man, I was just reading this story about Deion Sanders, and he's I'm going to go get me some pizza rolls. I don't know, maybe.
I just think it would be good. I think we should have on-field advertising. We should treat it like
it's going to be NASCAR. Right. It's going to be NASCAR. There's no question where it's headed. And that it's going to be wild because we said this on our podcast, like there will be the classy bit, right? Like North Carolina will have University of North Carolina basketball presented by, right? Or like Duke basketball presented by Prudential or Morgan Stanley, right?
Mercedes-Benz, yeah.
Yes, Mercedes-Benz. There'll be a little Mercedes logo on the Duke floor on camera, and people still but it kind of looks nice, right? I mean, and then there's going to be whatever is like the Sun Belt, the Conference USA, the Mid. I mean, we know because there's the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential,
right?
And then there's the Pop-Tart Bowl where we put a live mascot in a fake toaster, pop out the other side, and we eat them. The winning team. I'm not in favor of any of this. I wish the pristine uniforms. I wish the Boston Celtics didn't have a Vista print
Right.
thing on there. I mean, these incredible franchises. I wish, you go look at the European soccer, like, Manchester United and Liverpool and all these, like the corporate logo is the uniform.
That's right.
It's a little like crazy. So I wish we didn't have it, but boy, is it going to be hysterical. I mean, it's going to be like tow truck companies sponsor. I mean, it is going to be incredible. Some of these patches when we go the NASCARification of college athletics.
But if it's all about revenue, then get the revenue how you can get it. I'm okay with it.
I would. Here's my thing. I would have rather they changed the name of the Pac-12 and called it the Google 12 or something, and did all that stuff, and we still had a Pac-12. Like, as a fan of college athletics, I want the ACC to continue on. And so if that means there's logos all over the place, but they still have ACC football and basketball in some semblance of what I'm used to, I'll take it. I will trade jerseys and logos on the field for some stability in conference alignment, far more than I would, we better be pure, but we're down to like 60 schools that can afford to do this thing. Because I love all 130 whatever football teams on a Saturday playing. That is the chaos. I love all 340 basketball teams playing. That is the chaos. I want Oakland University to still have a shot to beat Kentucky. Those are the things I want out of college athletics more than, boy, it's kind of bothering that there's a Mercedes logo on the camera floor, but hey, whatever.
Dan Wetzel, you're the best, man. At Dan Wetzel on Twitter, Yahoo Sports national columnist. Go check out the College Football Inquirer wherever you get your podcast. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, man.
You got it. Dan Wetzel here on the Adam Gold Show.